How many people have seen Alone? Where they drop people off. Oh, don't be shy. No, I'm just kidding. I always thought, oh, I'm native, like, I know my land. Why don't they just consult with the local natives and find out, like, the tips and tricks and then, like, totally win it? And then it dawned on me, they don't win it, and it's a struggle for 100 days in the wilderness because they don't have the resources that a community had offered. So here, as the slides show, that it took a generational knowledge transference in order for the community to survive. We required our friends and family beyond the nuclear what we had nuclearly. So there was a shared responsibility that each person had. When people ask about, or I was asked about disability, and in my community, we look at it as other ability, that every community member has a responsibility to the family, to the community. And so someone who has what Western we might view as a disability, it's just a different ability, and that everyone has a gift to offer. So with that mentality, when we're thinking about generation or the transference of wealth and this interdependence, as Native people, we had a responsibility to our elders to ensure that their survival, because they had the knowledge to teach us to survive. So what trees to harvest at what time, what animals to manage. We viewed the importance of a collected wisdom, that children came to us with knowledge that we don't have of the spirit world. And they teach us lessons just as much as we teach them through their being. And then sustainable wealth. So just like I was mentioning with the Alone example, being dropped off in the middle of Alone is where they drop people off in the middle of nowhere, and then they have to survive 100 days, or whoever can survive the longest wins a giant pool of money. What we do within our Native communities is share our resources as much as possible in order to create that. So those people in Alone, if they were in a Native community, they would have like all the tools and knowledge from generations. And they'd also have the community to help out, like to go skin a deer or something. We have communal decision-making. In my earlier, apology for the duplicate reference, if you're in my earlier session, but Native governance was kind of like in Lord of the Rings, where Frodo had to go, or was it Frodo? No, the other hobbits had to go with the trees, and the trees all grabbed hands and they like swayed back and forth, and it took forever, and they were just like, why don't you just make a decision, help us out? But that's how we created decisions. It was everyone had a say within the community on larger decisions. And then we were equitable, so understanding that our elders might not be able to provide the same as what our middle-aged folks were able to. Like, our elders might not be out hunting, but we would share the meat that we harvested just as much to the elders as we would ourselves. And then all members were participated in the resource management. Just like I had said, even if you had a different ability, it was your responsibility to share the gift that you had been given by the Creator with your community in your own way. And then, I know this is like, might sound trite, but we have as Native people, a responsibility to the land, because the land gave to us for sustainability just as much as we use the land. So we view our resources as sacred and try and not over-harvest, and finding a balance with the environment, and then creating that collective stewardship. So just as much as we manage like financial resources, a lot of the Native financial education curriculum that's out there talks about like, we were really good at resource management. How do we apply those skills to modern finances? And then if you're familiar with Natives, we do a lot of gift giving, and it's just a part of what we do. We sometimes overgift, but like there were potlatches out in the Midwest or out in the Pacific Northwest. That's a giveaway ceremony. There's powwow giveaways. So gift giving is just a part of what we do. Mutual support, and I know I'm coming up on time, sorry. And then pooling economic resources. So along the interdependence, I want to acknowledge that it's beyond the nuclear family. So Jeffrey had mentioned like individual accounts. It's very individualized. We have a social security number, that's how we get a bank account, that's how we get anything. But we have a responsibility beyond that. It's our cousins and uncles and aunts, and my grandmother did a lot of raising of me and my aunts and uncles, so it's a lot bigger than a lot of other families. Impacts of colonization and assimilation, just a plug, please read my articles. It goes a little bit more in depth than all of these, but it kind of creates our lack of trust within the banking systems and how we economically are surviving or not surviving in the modern financial world. And then, so just like reclaiming rights, you might have heard like land back movements. So that's like giving or allowing natives to have rights to different resources that were stripped from them. So it doesn't mean like, we're coming for your land. It means like the federal government and other areas of land. And yes, plug for using sustainable resource management as much as possible. And then engaging in those grassroots initiatives. So if you're wondering how do we incorporate more inclusive practices, or if you're with an organization that isn't native but want to engage with the communities, partner. Please find those local community members and share the knowledge. But also understand, wrapping it up, back to financial interdependence, it's a way of life and how we have survived as Native people for several generations in spite of intentional genocide. So that is how we manage our financial resources.